One of the things that they did was that they wanted to go ahead and bring together what three legacy agencies used to exist in every land border and seaport and airport. You had your legacy Treasury Department, which was Customs. You had your legacy Immigration and Naturalization Services, which was your immigration. And then you had your agricultural, your USDA. After 9/11, the government decided we want to go ahead and bring all these agencies as to become one unified agency, where that one officer will be able to go ahead and do the operations of an immigration inspector, will be able to do the operations of a customs inspector, and will be able to go ahead and do the operations of an agricultural specialist. Hence, your CBP officer was made up. In the past, as a customs officer, being legacy customs, our main function was the interception of narcotics from coming into the country. Marijuana, cocaine, heroin, etc. That was our main focus of capturing narcotics, and also capturing anything that had to do with illegal products from coming into the country, from fake Nike shoes to fake Gucci bags, etc. That was our function. Obviously, as an immigration officer, their main function was the flow of travelers coming into the country, making sure that they were legitimate travelers that had a purpose, as far as they had a purpose either for business or for pleasure in the United States, and that they would have the proper documentation to be able to come into this country. Okay, that was immigration. Agricultural, obviously, they had what their focus was, making sure that no type of pest or disease would come into the country that would literally harm our agricultural products or our livestock economy. So those were our focal points. As a CBP officer now, our primary mission and our focal point is terrorism. Terrorist weapons from coming into the country, terrorist weapons of mass effect, or terrorists themselves. That is our main focus now as a CBP officer. Okay? Not to say that we're no longer interested in the narcotics or the undocumented immigrants or the diseases coming into the country that can harm our agricultural products, but it all entails now as one, with our primary one being terrorism. Okay? As a CBP officer, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I want you to realize is that you have a great responsibility and you have great authority as a federal officer at the Port of Entry, Seaport, and Land Border. One of the things is that this is the only agency or the only law enforcement agency where you actually do not need a warrant to be able to search a car, search a person's personal effects, or search a person. And all you need is basically mere suspicion in order for you to go ahead and be able to do that at a port of entry, at a seaport, or at an airport. We have agencies, outside agencies, law enforcement agencies, coming to us to request assistance when we have someone that's crossing the border for assistance, because again, we do not need that warrant to go ahead and be able to conduct a search. Okay? That's authority right there. And that authority is only granted to CBP officers that are at land border, seaports, and airports. That's great. Now, the responsibility, what am I talking about responsibility? When you have travelers coming into this country, the first law enforcement officer that they're going to encounter is you. You are the officer that they're going to see first. And you may be the only law enforcement officer that they'll see once they come into the country, unless they run a stoplight or do something else that a state and local might stop them. But other than that, you'll be the only law enforcement officer that they'll see when they come into this country. You have that authority to either allow these people to come into the country, or you will deny them, say you can't come into this country. Now, you just can't say, I don't want you to come into this country because I don't like you, right? You're not going to do that. You have to have a legitimate reason for not letting somebody come into this country, okay? It has to be a lawful reason. But other than that, you have that authority to say, go ahead, welcome, or you know what, I'm sorry, you can't come in. That's a pretty big responsibility right there. Okay? So keep that in mind. As secondary officers as well, one of the nice things about Customs and Border Protection is that you will have equipment necessary for you to do your job and do it successfully. We have equipment that if there's some type of radiation source out there, we will be able to detect it. We have what we call a PRD, a personal radiation detector. If some type of radiation source is coming toward the port, our radiation detector will detect it. Does anybody? Do you have anybody else that can show it to everybody? This is what officers carry on their duty belt. If there's some type of radiation source, it will alert you. And believe me, it doesn't have to be this close. It can be way out there and will detect it. Okay, so that's good. We also have an equipment device that once we determine the radiation source, it will even tell us what type of radiation source we have out there. Okay, so it's like, we know there's a radiation source once it's detected, then we can identify what type of radiation source it is. Okay, so that's good. We have systems in place right now at our ports where we can go ahead and information is as we get a machine readable document from you, we can get an array of information from the actual traveler and find out a whole bunch of information from them that normally you would not know that we have. So that's a pretty good technology right there that we have. So all of those things are there for the purpose of you doing your job successfully. Okay? And like I said, it's a big responsibility. You have a lot of authority, and you have a great responsibility to go ahead and cover. Now, given that, one of the things about the CBP officer position also is that it lends itself with opportunities. As a CBP officer, if you come in as a CBP officer, you will have an array of opportunities within the agency to move into other positions that don't necessarily have to be just a CBP officer. There's a canine officer, if you ever want to become a canine officer. You have opportunities as far as becoming a part of the PET team, what we call the Pedestrian Enforcement Team. SRT, the Special Response Team, which is like what I would call our CBP SWAT team. Okay. You can become instructors at the academy after a while. You can become supervisors, branch chief, court directors, assistant court directors. I mean, the opportunities are endless of what you can do within the agency. It's how bad do you want it, and how far ahead do you want to get within this agency. Because this is an agency this is a career that you are embarking on from this point on. Okay? And what you make of it is how much you want to put into it. Okay? Now, what is it that requires for you to be a CBP officer? Well, number one is that you have to be a United States citizen, either by birth, naturalization, or derived from either mom, dad, okay? But you have it's birth, naturalization, or derived. Really. Number two, you have to be 37 years of age at the time of being selected. This is the first time in the history of this position that now it is a covered position, a law enforcement covered position, law enforcement covered position now for the first time. Before we did not have the age requirement, now we do. So at the time of selection, you have to be 37 years of age. Okay? When you log in today into the website and you do the application online, it's going to come up a question that says, will you be 37 years of age within the next 3 to 4 months? If that's the case, okay, then most likely the system itself will not allow you, will find you ineligible for the position. Okay? But if you're somewhat further away from 37 years of age, let's say 6 months, 8 months from now, then you have a good chance. But that's one of the new requirements. Okay?